And we are live. We being me and you, whoever you may be out there. Welcome to this Saturday night shenanigans live stream here on No Risk, No Reward Media. I figure why not? It's the longest day. Why not do a long stream, a live stream here tonight? There's an awful lot going on, and I can't cover everything that I want to cover using these clips that I put up on my main channel. There's a lot of stories that I simply don't get covered. So these live streams, in a way, enable me to pack in a little bit more content, give me a few more discussion points, and also let you people pipe in directly. So a few people in the stream already. Big welcome to Saoirse Ahern, ready and waiting. It's Saturday night. Indeed it is. Welcome. Kyle Ryan, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Derek Rue, he's in Missouri in the US of A. Very, very welcome tonight. Derek, Vaughan Malone is here. Sovereign News is here. Blathnid Sherry is here in Monaghan. I hope I've got that name right. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do in advance. I'm going to apologize because I need to really wear glasses when I'm trying to read these comments. So you'll see me squinting a lot. Listen, this is no frills, no BS, no filter, live streaming. So that includes me squinting at the screen. Paranormal Channel says, hello, no risk. Hello to you too. James Lally says, what's the topic tonight, James? Imagine going to a tapas bar or a wine tasting night somewhere fancy, and you've got a lot of stuff set out in front of you. That's what the topic is tonight. We're going to be covering a lot of ground here tonight, or maybe we won't cover everything. Maybe we'll go a little bit off tangent. There is no hard and fast rule here with this live stream, to be quite frank with you. I do keep it Ireland-centric, and I'm going to keep it Ireland-centric. There's plenty of other people talking about what's happening in the UK, in America, in Australia, in the Middle East, in the Ukraine, all over the place. A lot of people covering that, a lot of people a lot more knowledgeable than I am. So I let them turn on with that. So topics, a lot of topics to do with what's happening in Ireland at the minute, but we do keep it Ireland-centric here. North, south, east, west, and even Monaghan in the middle. Welcome, John. Greetings from Cavan. Hello, who cares? Says shocking scenes on Burrow Beach. Didn't know, only for you covering it. Yes, we will cover that as well. Mouse, welcome. Good evening, folks. He says that's a little friendly mouse from Mid-Ulster. So you can leave a little hello for the friendly mouse from Mid-Ulster in the comments here. Got any news of the protests in Belfast today? Not really. I'll tell you why, because there's very little information going around about them. People are asking me about various protests in different places. Some of them, I haven't seen any publicity for them. I haven't seen any feedback for them, whether I just have missed it or I'm not looking in the right places. So all I know is I think one happened today outside of Belfast City Hall under the Time to Rise banner. I haven't heard anything back about that, either good or bad. So I'm not sure. We'll have to maybe check or have a check on whatever you use, maybe Facebook or Instagram or whatnot. I don't use those platforms, so have a little look on them. Comments are flying up here. Sorry if I miss anybody. Strabane says no effing way. Patrick, welcome from Strabane, all the way from Strabane. Anna Maria Purcell says hello, Rick and everyone. Liz Pepper says dear ditch. Ach, Dina. I'll have a dig at that. Why the hell not? Thank you, Liz. Nice to see you here. Along with many, many other people. John Long as well. Good evening, all. Great to see you live, Rick. Yeah, I'm experimenting. I'm just riffing here off the top of my head. I'm experimenting a little bit with the channel. There's a lot more things I would like to do with it, but I'm a little bit constrained with regards to my time, my technical abilities, and the fact is I'm pretty much working on my own. I do this on my own. You guys watch it, you guys distribute it, but I'm gathering content. I'm trying to learn technology. I'm not a great techie person. I can speak all night long. I can dig stuff out, not a problem at all. That's not the issue. It's the putting it all together. Okay, so I'm building a foundation at the minute. I've been doing it for about 6 months. So I just thought I'll try a live stream last Thursday night. It went really, really well. And I thought I'm not going to be busy on Saturday night. I've got the house to myself for a few hours. So I figured let's do a live stream. So yes, I'm just working on expanding the content, making it a little bit more varied. I'd like to get out to more protests. I would like to get out to speak to more people directly rather than interviewing them on Zoom. But again, that requires me traveling in some cases a very, very long distance and all sorts of other things. So just keep an eye out here. The best is yet to come with this channel. I hope I'm just getting warmed up, as I think you people are as well. Liz Pepper, well done. Perfect. I've gone back to revive my Irish before it's gone forever. Yeah. Is it true? I mean, like in where I lived, growing up in Lisburn, in County Antrim, and then working in and around Belfast, never heard Irish spoken. Never heard Irish spoken anywhere. And even in, when I'm in Dublin or I'm in various other places, some people can speak it real well. Some people really don't know the language at all. Some people went to Irish schools. They are fluent in the language, which is great. And somebody made a comment. I heard somebody making a comment recently that Ireland is pretty much one of the only countries, if not the only country in the world, that doesn't speak its native tongue as its first language. And I know that was suppressed for a very, very long time under colonial rule. But the revival of the Irish language, I believe, is on the up. There's a lot of people promoting. A lot of people have an interest in it, which is a good thing. And so what do you think out there? Are you a native Irish speaker? Is it something like Liz you're brushing up on before you completely forget it? Is it something you know nothing about? Is it something you think we'll see more of in the days and weeks that are coming ahead? Let me know what you think about that. What good is speaking Irish, says Crystal. Well, if you're in Ireland and you're, among your own people, it's nice to be able to speak your own native language. As I said, it's the only country in the world that doesn't speak its native tongue. Can you imagine going to Africa, for example, in Kenya, where the lingua franca is Kiswahili and everyone's scratching their head. They don't know how to communicate using it. It's also a very important tool when you want to communicate with people, especially in a public area. If they can't speak the language and you can, it keeps your communications that little bit more encrypted, as it were. Derek says there's a lot of the Irish diaspora in the States. Learning it like myself. Good for you. Professor Gammon says respect from West Wales, and good luck for this evening. That's great. Great to have the Welsh in the house as well here tonight. That's a good one too. John Crypto says you're a good dude, brother. I like you and what you're doing. I hope that's directed at me, John, because there's a lot of good dudes in the chat here tonight that are doing sterling work also. So we're well underway here. What time is it now? It's we've been going for about 10 minutes. We've over 200 people in the live chat already, which is great. I don't know how many will come. It doesn't really matter, to be quite frank to me. As long as you guys are there and you're enjoying the content, I'll keep rolling it out. Mark the Spark says we're going to have to learn Arabic to communicate soon. Yes, you are. Well, that would help also. I can speak a little bit of Arabic, a little bit of Arabic, because it's incorporated in the Swahili language. So a lot of words in Swahili have Arabic roots, like the number 6 and the number 7. In Arabic, 6 is sita, 7 is saba. Those are Arabic words. The word forgive in Arabic is samehe, and in Swahili, to forgive is kusamehe. So yeah, I've got a head start, you guys, when it comes to the Arabic, but many of you are well ahead of me on the Irish front, but I'm going to start working on that one too. Paulo says, Do you have any mods, Rick? No, not yet. Not yet. Thankfully, the chat has been, how would you say, very civil. Very civil. And I will be policing it. I will not accept any bollocking around or numpties on the chat simply because they bore the hell clean out of me. And I believe it detracts away to other people's experiences here. G. MacT says, I look at Wales with envy at how they speak their native tongue when I've been there. Yeah, seems to be the way. A lot of Welsh speakers in Wales, not so much in Ireland. Alan Bodell said, watched your piece on Dublin Beach. It's terrible. We're all in this together. Big respect from England. Yeah, so that's something that I want to show here. If you people haven't already seen this one, maybe I'll start off with that actually. It's just a little video clip that I did an upload on earlier on today from a place in Dublin, County Dublin anyway. Let me get the name of it. What's the name of that beach? Burrow Beach, I think it was called. Yeah, Burrow Beach in County Dublin. So thousands of people on there, on the beach that is, a lot of youth on the beach, hot weather, people drinking, people getting aggressive, large groups of, let's just say, mobs running around the beach, fighting each other, women, girls fighting, men fighting, running up and down the beach, wrecking the experience for everybody else that was there. And again, whatever happened to the good old days of loading up the car on a hot day and going to the beach with your family, bringing your kids along and not having to look over your shoulder for some yobos coming charging towards you. So let's actually have a look at that one. And if you haven't seen this, this is a little bit of an eye-opener. So this is Burrow Beach in County Dublin, and you'll see what these people had to put up with over the last few days, but I believe it's been ongoing now for some time. Like, look at this here. Look at this here. What do you do? What do you do if you live in that area? Okay, there are a lot of fancy houses there. I believe it's a very affluent part of Dublin. And whether you like the fact that people live in a place like that, or you envy them, or maybe that's somewhere you would dream about living as well, is it not like hell on earth when the sun comes out and the area in front of your house or your retirement home, your holiday home, whatever, you can't get out onto the beach because of these gangs running amok? Look at this. Look at this. What happens if you even want to get through there? This crowd, legally, there's ways to get through a crowd like that very easily. I'm sure many of you could do it. I'm sure I could do it. But the fact of the matter is, what do you do if you've got small kids? You're trying to make your way back to your car or make your way back somewhere, and somebody says, is that Dominican? I take it you mean, is this video Dominican? No, this is Burrow Beach in County Dublin. Look at this. Look at this here. And I keep pausing it, but just to let you see, look at this here. Gangs in the sand dunes running around. Malika Guinness says that can't be Ireland. Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry to say that, Malika, but it most definitely can be Ireland. And not just is it Ireland, but yes, it's Dublin. Look at this. So she said, Cali. No, it's not. It looks like Cali, but this is not a squad of people that have came off a boat. This is a squad of people that have probably taken public transport or a car and went there to have a day out. And let me highlight something. Okay, let me highlight something here. Look at the background. Okay, look at the background where the water is. And in the water, there's a few kids, few families maybe playing, football or throwing a ball around or an inflatable. A few families that are keeping their distance away down at the water's edge. Whereas this scenes, and this is only one clip of one scene. This scene is dominated by gangs. Like, look, you've got all the families almost pushed out to the water's edge. Yeah, then there's this no man's land in this clip anyway, or in this particular still on the beach. And then you have the gangs in the sand dunes. Anyone here, by the way, anyone listening in here tonight from this area or this particular area of Dublin, Burrow Beach, anyone there from Burrow Beach, if there is, or if that's someone that you or somewhere that you have been before or somewhere that you used to frequent, leave a message down below and let me know if that's a place that you've been, the place that you know, and if it's a place maybe that you would be completely put off from going back to again. So please do that if you're listening in for that area. So there you have it. That's Burrow Beach. And I understand, if I can get some figures here and some, don't have exact numbers of the amount of arrests that were made, but I believe there were fire brigades called over the last few days to that particular beach. Ambulances were called. There was a young girl who was attacked and quite badly injured. No reporting of that in the mainstream media. But she was taken away or treated at an ambulance by an ambulance at the scene. Coast Guard was also called out, and the public order unit from An Garda Síochána were also called to that particular scene. So this is all in the space of the last few days. And I understand that this area or this beach in particular, this happens frequently. When I looked it up earlier on, Burrow Beach, Dublin, I saw headlines from maybe a month ago, from 2 weeks ago, same thing, gangs fighting and rioting on the beach. Last year, around about this time, it was the same thing. If you try it yourself, add Burrow Beach, Dublin, search engine, look it up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight. And if the truth be told, coming into the summertime, a lot of people, it's a grind getting through the year. A lot of people look forward to the good times coming in the summer. They look forward to the occasional hot day or nice day, maybe take a day off work, a long weekend, take the family, you want to go to the beach. And now that's an X put through that option because the beaches are now being overrun by unruly gangs. And Garda Síochána can dispatch public order units out there. The Coast Guard can send out units there. The ambulance can send out units there. The fire brigade can dispatch units there. But what about prevention being better than cure? Where's the local guards on the beat? Is there a police station in that area? Is there a normal Garda presence? Surely, and I don't know. Let me know if you have the answer to this, but surely on a day like this, in an area like that, with a history of these things happening, you would expect them to say, right, let's get some units down to Burrow Beach to keep things calm, to keep a lid on things so we don't have to send for the Coast Guard and we don't have to send for the fire brigade and the ambulance and the public order unit. You would have thought that. You would have thought that. Good comment here from Paul. Paul, I'm just going to pull this comment up if you don't mind. Too bad if you don't mind, I'm going to do it anyway. The people living in the affluent areas are now feeling the effects of mass immigration, and they thought it would not come near their door. Now, here's the rub. It was only ever going to be a matter of time before this extends out of inner cities, out of so-called socially deprived areas. It's in villages, it's in rural areas across Ireland, the length and breadth, width and depth of Ireland. And there's only so much petitioning, for example, residents of D4 can do. They can kick the can down the road. They can get their solicitors together. But if push comes to shove, what they can't do anything about an influx of people into an area if, for example, they're on a day trip. So these residents of Burrow Beach with the beautiful beachfront properties, there may not be an iPass centre there that they can protest about and block, but they can't do anything about people travelling down for the day and coming down first thing in the morning in gangs, staying all afternoon, staying into the evening time and antisocial behaviour. What can they do about that? You can't go onto the beach and say, get off, this is my beach. Or if people are milling around beside the Grand Canal in Dublin, you can't turn around and say, get the hell out of here. You know, you shouldn't be. They'll tell you where to go, or they'll attack you, or they'll just laugh at you. And when the guards come along, if the guards come along, what are they going to do? Do they want trouble? Did you see them with that naked guy who was running around, I think it was Wicklow Town last weekend, who now, by the way, has been sectioned. He was supposed to be getting deported from Ireland, but now he's been sectioned. So does that mean he's going to be hanging around for a while longer at the Irish taxpayers' expense? He's been moved out of a hotel, a beautiful hotel, into a psychiatric unit for evaluation. Okay. He called for the guards when he saw their car, and they drove past them. Then they drove off. There's a video of it. I put it up last Saturday night, actually. Go back and look at it. And the title of it is, Where's the Garda? Where are the Gardaí? And they were there. They saw what was happening and they drove off. They didn't want any part of that. So the same thing. I'm like, let's be honest. If you were on the beat as a guard and you were called to Burrow Beach and you came down there and you saw those mobs running around in the sand dunes getting violent, would it not be tempting to say, oh, too much for me to handle? I'm not getting paid well enough for this. So you drive on. I'm just saying, you know, I wouldn't want to be getting stuck into that. Would you? I know it's their job. I know they're being paid to do it. I know they took an oath. Let's be honest, taking an oath doesn't mean jack. Okay, turning a blind eye is sometimes the easier option. And I think that's what happens in a lot of these cases. They take the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance. So, Paulo, yes, the people living in affluent areas are now feeling the effects. They thought it wouldn't come to their door. Well, it is coming to their door. And I would say it will continue to come to their door because the Irish government have a so-called plan for government. And you watch and see the rate at which the Irish government continues to acquire what they call units for international protection seekers, asylum seekers, refugees, developing processing centres like City West. We talked about this on Thursday night. The City West hotel purchase for 150 odd million euro, plus the cost of running it. How it will give the government, and that will become state-owned accommodation. That is permanently in the hands now of the Irish government until they come to sell it, which they probably won't, because they're talking about a 25-year window that they'll be saving billions. The Irish taxpayer will be spared billions of pounds spent accommodating and housing and processing asylum seekers to fulfill their obligations to Ursula von der Leyen and co. There's 2,000 units in City West. There's a conference centre that they've also purchased. And there's 50 acres of land around there that is underdeveloped. Not developed at all, actually, that they claim that they're not going to develop. But, you know, if you see a politician, there's an old joke. How do you know if a politician's lying? Their lips move. You know, hard to argue with that one. Looking at some of the comments here. Sorry, I've been doing an extended monologue here. Internment camps coming soon. Look at Carlo. I think it's Carlo. It's a huge camp under construction there. And you know what? The sad thing is, from what I see, the last time there was a Clonmel, my apologies, it's not Carlo. Carlo was where that young man took his life a few weeks ago, with due to go on trial for procuring firearms on the dark web that actually Undercover and Garda Síochána had supplied him with. Apparently the Justice Minister didn't know that, but Clonmel is going to be home to, well, outside of City West, probably the camp of all camps. Are you in Clonmel? I met a few people, I think, on the road over the last month. A few of them were in Clonmel. Yes, Paulo, Clonmel. But when I saw the response to the protest, the public protest down in Clonmel about, 2 weeks ago, there was only a handful of people there. So were people not informed about it? Or did the majority of people in Clonmel not care? Or are they too afraid or intimidated to come out and show their faces? Because nowadays, when your face goes on the screen, you become a pariah to your employer or to your friends and family, to whoever may see your face. So I'm just saying, with the biggest camp outside of City West potentially going up in Clonmel, where's the kickback and resistance? And I know there are groups of people there that are standing against it. I'm not saying there's not, but I'm saying proportionately speaking, with the size of that camp, and I believe they're building a mosque at this time to service the people that may be going into that camp, you would have thought that there would have been a huge kickback against that. So Edna Curtin just heard in the Shanity Community Forum on Facebook that there was an attempted assault on a woman this morning. Only for a bus approaching that animal would have succeeded. It happened at approximately 6:30 a.m. Yeah, keep your wits about you out there, folks. I can't emphasize it enough. I cannot emphasize it enough. Jerry. Sorry, Jerry. Just missed your comment there. Jerry, son of Mick, says, I believe Clonmel was sold out before the site security arrived, and unfortunately from within. Just my thoughts. Well, your thoughts and opinions are just as valid as anybody else's. So that's why I'm saying, if anybody here is from Clonmel or has any more information they can add to this, or maybe their experiences of trying to resist this in the past, please let me know about it. Jewish cultural Marxists want to flood right Christian countries with Islam. Yep. Tala has 6 iPass senders and more on the way. Only a few ever turn out. Is this a case, folks? And I'm asking the question here, is this a case of battle fatigue? Is battle fatigue setting in? And I know there's a hardcore contingent of people who aren't getting fatigued and they're still in the fight as much now as they were years ago. But is there a case of battle fatigue where people are becoming demoralized and maybe thinking to themselves, well, this is getting us nowhere. It's not stopping anything. And then the head goes down and shrug and they just give up. That's part, I believe, of the strategy of the Irish government, is to wear people down and break people. So they become so demoralized and their head goes down that they just give up the fight. They give up the ghost, as it were. So there's that also. I want to look at, what else will we look at here tonight? Yeah, let's look at this one. So this is a story that came out over the last few days from Newry. This was reported in the Newry Reporter. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the geography of Ireland, Newry sits pretty much along the so-called border between the north and the south, or at least it's close by it. and it has now been designated a city of refuge, or sorry, a city of sanctuary. Anybody in the house tonight from Newry? Did you know this was on the cards? Are you aware of this one? Will there be any kickback against this one? Council's Active and Healthy Committee. Think about this. So the Active and Healthy Committee in Newry have approved a proposal to become a so-called city of sanctuary. This would see the local authority join a network of communities and organisations to become places of safety and inclusion for refugees, asylum seekers, and other vulnerable migrants. So if you check this out, there is a website that I saw just before I came on here, but I didn't have time to screenshot it. But if you look up Cities of Refuge Ireland or Cities of Refuge UK, there's a directory. And there's actually an Irish directory there as well. And there's a lot more than you think. And even they designate schools and libraries, public libraries, as places of sanctuary or refuge within the places or cities of refuge as well. There's a real advanced network out there already that you may even not be aware of, but you're maybe going to become aware of it in the short term. Ivan Hunter says, looks like Newry is doing what the South is doing, trying to be the best boy in the class. Well, this is it. And I'm going to show you some other screenshots here as well, by the way, to show that this is full backing from all the political parties. Even the DUP begrudgingly are backing this one, and they've been vocal for the last few weeks to give them their credit. The DUP, Johnny Buckley in particular, and the TUV, two real hardline unionist parties, but they're getting the nod from many, many nationalists because they're speaking up and saying what the SDLP and Sinn Féin won't, or what Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael won't do in the Dáil. You can guess which political parties are promoting these cities of refuge in Armagh. Ian MacDonald says Newry is a Sinn Féin stronghold. They need voted out. Well, Ian, here's the crack. You'll see in the next few slides, it's not just Sinn Féin. This has got the backing of the Alliance Party, it's got the backing of the SDLP, and it's got the backing of the DUP, albeit with caveats to say that they're a little bit concerned about it. So even if you get Sinn Féin out, there's no shortage of other people who are willing to step in and pick up the mantle and run with it. Okay, no shortage of it at all. So let's see. I'll just show you what I have here because I believe, there's no point in me just paraphrasing. Let's give some evidence where we can. DUP backs Newry, Mourne and Down. Refugee plan, but warns against illegal immigrants. So they've added a warning. Okay, you need to watch out for illegals coming in here, but they've still backed it. Still backed it. Council is to become a city of sanctuary to support refugees and asylum seekers. So that's actually the headline in Belfast Live. More so than Newry becoming that city of sanctuary is actually the fact that the DUP have backed it with some caveats added in. I'm just looking at some of the chats here. Yeah, GAA traders, yet thousands went there today. Turncoat says, Finola, I'm not quite sure who that's in relation to, but hell, it could be in relation to just about anyone we're talking about on here, could it not? Turncoats, traders, treachery, skullduggery, and shenanigans. Sure, does that not describe the whole length and breadth of Ireland? Does it not? So DUP back it. Let's look also at this. So we can see this a little bit better. I'm not so squinty here. Rowell Lane, which is the area alliance representative, David Lee Surgeoner, said, I want to fully welcome and support this. So the DUP are behind it. The alliance want to fully welcome and support it. When the Ukrainians were here, when Russia started attacking Ukraine, I got to meet many Ukrainian families or kids who had been traumatized. Here's one for you guys. Go on to Airbnb and just look up Ukraine holidays. Thousands of beautiful units available. Thousands of beautiful units available in western parts, central parts of Ukraine. But they come all the way over to Ireland or wherever they came from. We as a council were there for them with wide open arms. We welcomed and embraced them, also met ladies escaping Syria, Afghanistan, and so on and so forth. It's amazing. This guy, Alliance representative, said it's amazing to hear as a council we're moving forward and are full of compassion. Full of compassion. Sinn Féin, someone mentioned Sinn Féin in the area. Slieve Gullion Sinn Féin councillor Declan Murphy added, this is something many Irish people would also unfortunately have experienced, the need for sanctuary in different parts of the world. Yeah, who's denying that? The Irish had to get the hell out of Ireland to stay alive in many cases, but when they went where they were going, correct me if I'm wrong here, they worked, they paid their way, they built the countries in which they fled to or moved to. They weren't sitting in hotels, freeloading. At least, I don't think they were they? Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Honestly, given the way things are at the moment, with so many needless conflicts and so many people needing sanctuary, it's good to know what we already provide. We are going to strengthen. And just lastly here, Newry SDLP rep said, I think particularly the backdrop of violence that we've seen, we need to do this, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. So that's the story with Newry, with the Newry City of Refuge. So I would say this is going to come along to other places, and along that border, Portadown, Banbridge, Newry we know about, Armagh City, Dungannon, Strabane. I think I saw somebody in the chat earlier on from Strabane. These areas are becoming more and more, how would you say, culturally diverse, demographically diverse. And Newry could simply be the first step in this city of sanctuary, because in the north there aren't that many cities. There's about 6, I think: Belfast, Bangor, Newry, Armagh, Derry, and a city up here is not like a city anywhere else in the world. It's if you've got a post office and a bowling alley here, you can get city status pretty much. So I want to look at some of the chats here. Moved to Croatia from Dublin in 2020 to buy a house of my own in cash. I was definitely handed nothing. Exactly. You go there, you work, and you pay your way. Kiki and Jasmine, thank you very much, by the way, for the gift of memberships. And if you're listening in, somebody's going to be benefiting from this. So make sure you thank Kiki and Jasmine. So that, I believe, I've done a little bit of research. If you gift a membership to someone, it means they become a member of the channel member, which means they get access to the weekly Q&A videos. So thank you very much for doing that, Kiki and Jasmine. And somebody out there is going to benefit from that, which is great. They're going to get access to the channel membership. So that's great. Thank you very much for doing that, Kiki and Jasmine. Much appreciated. Many a good weekend in Newry, says Billy Bob. Never again. Back in the day, the epicenter for partying was Banbridge, which is another town that's badly affected. So Banbridge was the epicenter for raving and people going to have a crazy night out. I think there was the Coach nightclub in Banbridge. Circus, I think, was Banbridge. You had the Belmont. A lot of places there. I think they're all closed down now. But yeah, many a night out in Newry, many a night out in Banbridge. But no more. All these places are closed. All these places are closed. Yeah, Mouse, you know what time it is. Circus. Yeah, halfway up the main street in Banbridge. Hell's bells. Mark, we may even have bumped into each other back in the day. We may even have been raving together. Ian McDonald says, LOL, the Coach, yeah. And just a little bit of trivia. The Coach nightclub was not actually called the Coach. Here's a little bit of trivia for you. The Coach was actually the name of the bar beside the nightclub. The nightclub was actually called Chariots. So when people said they were going to the Coach for a night out, they were actually going to Chariots nightclub. Very, very few people went to the Coach because it was an old man's drinking pub. All these old crusties were in there. All the young'uns went next door into Chariots nightclub. So yeah, some people are reminiscing back in the day, reminiscing about walking. Did someone say they walked from the Coach to Portadown? That's some journey. So respect to you. I'm sure you had a few beverages in you by the time you did that. And outside the Coach, there used to be a really good kebab shop. I'm not sure what it was called. It ended up being called the Hot Donkey. Can you believe that? The Hot Donkey. No one was complaining about those guys because they made damn fine kebabs. And yes, the Coach sounds a lot better. So, you know, things have changed. Nightclubs, nightlife, it's all in decline. And that's pretty much part of the plan as well, I believe. That's part of the plan as well. I want to look at, I suppose we'd better look at Dublin as well tomorrow. So we touched on this on Thursday night, but I want to look at it again tonight because it's coming tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is the big day down in Dublin. So the details, many of you will be aware of. Garden of Remembrance is the assembly point. Parnell Square, Dublin, 22nd of June at 2 p.m. national protest. So here's a question I have for people that are listening tonight. What is your expectation of tomorrow? Okay. And we talked about the power of protests on Thursday night in depth, you know, how important it is to go there, maybe to get your morale boosted up a little bit, to get encouraged, to get your strength back again, to get the fight reignited in you possibly. And I've no doubt that tomorrow will do that. Tomorrow absolutely will do that. But what's your expectations of this above and beyond that? Or is that just simply what you're going for, to get a boost, to show your support, to feel amongst your people, to walk the streets of Dublin, down O'Connell Street with a tricolour? Is that as far as it goes? Or do you have an expectation beyond that? That's what I want to ask the chat now. And if you can, leave some comments here, especially if you're planning on going tomorrow, or even if you're not planning on going tomorrow, leave some comments here. What do you hope to see after this? Okay. Does there have to be more substance to this? How long can these street demonstrations alone carry on? Will they fizzle out if there's not something else behind it? So let me know what you think. Tomorrow, Brett Atkinson says it'll kick off. Well, what do you mean by that? What will kick off tomorrow? Someone says Malachi Ramblings. Source says Malachi Ramblings. Someone else says I like Malachi. He's an honest guy. We're going to shame the government into, let me see, the comments are flying past here, folks, which is a good thing. We're going to shame the government and going to get some encouragement. So what next? That's the question. What next? John Crypto says, I want to see 100,000 tomorrow. And I'm going to be traveling from Limerick personally. Okay. Anyone else making a journey there tomorrow? I know there's a John Wilson was telling me there's a bus being organized from Monaghan to down to Dublin. I think it's full. He's going to be on that bus tomorrow. People are traveling from here, there, and everywhere. I won't be down tomorrow. I have a commitment to someone else that I absolutely will not break under any circumstances. So tomorrow's not a good one for me, but hopefully the next major day out down in Dublin will be on a Saturday like last time. Yeah, people are saying the heat won't help tomorrow. I believe the forecast for tomorrow is to be warm, pretty warm, and possibly rain. Maybe that'll be a good thing, give everyone a little bit of refreshment if it's cooking hot. Philip Daisy says, coming from Wicklow town, would have liked to have focused on an area, so many events on in Dublin. I'll be there. So exactly where does this go from Dublin? That it does seem to be where the big protests are being centered on. There has been one recently in Cork. What about, somebody messaged me and says, what about Galway? Okay, what about Galway? Is it being neglected? Is there capacity there? Is there a hunger or an appetite, generally speaking, there to have something like this in Galway, or possibly in Sligo, or possibly up in Donegal somewhere? A real big get together. I know there was some big ones recently in Donegal and Letterkenny, and also in Bundoran. There was good shows there, but I'm talking about a real grand show here. Okay, is that the way to go? Should it be done as a tour, or should we say, okay, no, we've staked our standards, we've put our standards out here. Now we need to move towards direct action or a political solution, a viable political solution, because I think, like most other things, people will become a little bit despondent if all that's there is taking to the streets, set aside taking some mental strength from that. Okay, so what do you think? In response to Dublin, I've got a video here I'm going to play you. And of course, NGOs, government organizations are well funded, and there's tens of thousands of them out there. And there's no shortage of cash for them. I think the NGOs in Ireland are funded to the tune of around about 6 billion a year, which is mad. That kind of money doesn't seem to be floating around the grassroots nationalist movement. So the lefties allegedly will be out counter-protesting tomorrow. And here's one who describes those that will be attending as the fash. Okay, I'll just say that again. The fash, that's their shortened version of fascists to slur people. So let's hear what he has to say.
You might remember on the 26th of April up in Dublin, there was a national protest against the government, which was organised by the far right and was really just a massive racist rally.
So there you go. There's a spokesperson for the left. They say a picture says 1,000 words. So with this chap being a spokesperson against you, if you're listening, and he's pretty much against you, because I would say the majority of people listening to me right now are, anti-government and nationalist inclined. This guy's talking about the last rally where he's still banging on about racism in the far right.
Filled with bigotry and the worst people to try and call themselves Irish. They are again planning another national protest up in Dublin this June the 22nd. There is a United Against Racism counter demonstration happening this Sunday, June 22nd at 1:30 p.m. on Dame Street in Dublin to counter this far-right demonstration. I would highly encourage that if you're able to attend, please do, and if not, spread awareness about this and encourage as many people as you can to attend or show their support for the event. The fash are at it again.
The fash are at it again. That's you. If you're listening in, that's you. So it's hard, particularly hard, to try and get momentum going when your own people, or at least people that are in the same country as you, born there, grew up there, are effectively going against you as you try and present a united front against people coming into the country, some of them legally, some of them illegally, some of them contribute, some of them don't. Some of them have a clean record, some of them are vicious killers. When you stand up and you voice your concerns, you take it to the streets, you're called a fash. You're called a fash, and you're called a fash by somebody like this. who, by the way, is wearing male Rosie O'Donnell glasses. And I did a video recently. I can't remember who the lady was in the video, but when you see these huge oversized glasses, in my opinion, that's a warning sign. So I'm talking about really oversized ones, not just big glasses, because some people wear big glasses and they're okay. But when you see the Rosie O'Donnell glasses, when you see the Rosie specs coming out before even you hear him speak, or you look at his faux rainbow flag t-shirt, you know you're into trouble with that one. So what do you think about that? Does funding matter? Would it matter if 5 million was available to the grassroots nationalists? Would it be properly administered? Would it be sensibly distributed? Would there be fighting over who gets what? Would there be people with agendas looking to pocket the cash? Or would it give the movement a boost? Would it give the movement a boost? Because I know that's, again, I'm speaking as an observer. And I'm not trying to sit on any fence. I don't sit on fences. But I'm not part of any political party. I have no desire to be. I'm not backing any political party. I'll call out ones that are doing good, and I will call out ones that aren't doing so good if I know facts about things rather than hearsay. But the left, the loony left, the anti-Irish left certainly have a lot of money behind them, and they have a united front to try and quash and extinguish any sparks or flames of nationalism that are out there at this time. Looking at some of the comments, the dogs in the street, Ivan Hunter says, can see the majority of protesters want this madness stopped. Yes, but it's not being stopped. That's the thing. What do we do? Where do we go? Paul McKeown said, looks like Rosie O'Donnell with a beard. Indeed. Look about an attention seeker, Rosie O'Donnell. Ian McDonald says, no doubt the left is funding protests and counter-protests. I'd be convinced USAID or USAID was or is paying NGOs over here to help the left. Well, that certainly did happen under the so-called Biden administration. That did happen under the Biden administration. The question is, has it stopped, completely stopped under the Trump administration? Frank Barron, hi Philip D, hi Paul Mc and Bess. Some people being very sociable in the comments here as well. How much is Croke Park making tomorrow, the place that no Irish were allowed last week? Well, you know, that's the other thing. Croke Park threw its doors open for the 6th time, I think, for Eid celebrations. And when an Irish lady came in there and said the rosary in Croke Park, she was escorted out. I believe other people were also put out. Someone's asking a question, are you also against people staying in Ireland after graduating and making a living there? I'm not sure if that's directed at me or not, but there are no countries in the world, none, that don't have people living in them from other countries. It just doesn't exist. Okay, that I know of. Maybe Vatican City is the only one. It's the smallest country in the world, and I believe the last pope wasn't keen on riffraff coming in there, staying within their walled community, gated community. So am I against people staying in Ireland after graduating and making a living here? No, I'm not. My last neighbours in the last house that I lived in were from Swaziland, husband, wife, and his 3 children. They worked their asses off. They were fantastic neighbours. The kids went to school. Mum and dad paid for them to go through university. They paid rent. They paid tax. They were great neighbours. So I'm not against people staying in Ireland. No, In fact, like I said, show me any country in the world that doesn't have people living in it from other places. But there has to be a cap, a massive reduction in the amount of people that are let in. No one can come in illegally. People should be kicked out and deported immediately if they're criminals or if they're in this country illegally. And even if it's legal, there should still be a massive cap on there, and there should be deportations, and people should be removed from the country. And thank you, by the way, to Mary, and also for the other chat gift in there as well. That's very, very much appreciated, Mary Cull. And I missed the other one. Sorry that it was going up the screen, but thank you. You know who you are. So no, I'm not against people graduating and making a living. You know, there could come a time I want to leave Ireland. I want to leave Ireland. There was a time I could have went and lived in East Africa as a Mzungu, a white man. But if I went there, for example, I didn't go, and I've no intention of going, but let me reverse that for you. I couldn't get into the country unless I have a visa, unless I have a passport. They want to know where you're going to stay, who the host family is, where your residence is, how long you're going to stay there for. Do you have the means to support yourself? Are you coming to work? If so, who's your employer? And if the answer to that is no, I don't have any means to support myself, I don't have anywhere to stay, I don't have identification, you're deported immediately. At the airport, for example, in Kenya, in Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi, just turned and kicked out immediately. If you try it in Uganda, when you fly into Entebbe International Airport, the same thing. You're kicked straight out. If you don't have that documentation. So if I wanted to go there, I really wanted to go there and help the country and contribute to the country and build the country up and help the people in it, I wouldn't like to think that I would be stopped at the border in Nairobi to say, well, you know, you're a white guy from Northern Ireland or Ireland. We're not letting you in because, you know, we don't do that sort of thing around here. Thank you for the gifts. And someone said there they like my style of reporting. I don't even know. Listen, guys, I'm not a reporter. And I don't mean that to take away from what you've said. I appreciate it. And I'll take it as a compliment. And, you know, this term journalist or citizen journalist, all I am is someone who's observing a lot of things going on. I'm observing things, and I've been observing things pretty much as my job and commenting on them now for almost 4 years. Almost 4 years. And I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. Good, the bad, and the ugly in people that are coming into Ireland, but also there's a lot of bad eggs in Ireland. There's a lot of bad eggs in Ireland as well. And I think you're going to see that over time. It's like every country. Listen, there's good and bad eggs and good and bad apples in every batch. Agnes Lynch saying, I lived abroad and I couldn't vote in any election. You have to wait 5 years to vote in local elections, never mind national. Yes, indeed, Agnes. You worked, if no job, you had to leave after 3 months. And that was back when the EU worked. Exactly. Exactly. Like the thought of me going to Africa, even I could say, well, you know, I've been coming and going here for 10 years. I've helped communities. You know, I've got a clean record. I love the people. I can speak the language and so on and so forth. I'll be like, well, you still can't vote. And it doesn't automatically mean you're going to be a resident. Thank you, Best Black, by the way, for the gift. She also asks, did you go to Belfast today? 15 wheat wagons and 2 drones. No, I didn't. Somebody asked me about that gathering today. I saw little to nothing about it on social media, but I've said this before too. I'm not on social media platforms. The only thing I really use is YouTube. So unless somebody sends me details or makes me aware of details of an event or a protest or a march or a demo, I pretty much don't know. There's so many happening as well at the minute. And I did say, or I have suggested that it would be a good idea to have a directory of events. And some people have said to me, well, there is one, so-and-so has a directory, but I don't even know where these directories are held. So some people have Facebook groups, and some people have WhatsApp groups. Some people have, I don't know, use X groups or spaces. A website really is the only thing I believe that would get everybody. A website. So I don't know. I ain't going to set it up simply because I'm so into this. I just don't have any time, and I'm certainly not going to be updating it. But maybe someone out there somewhere would put some simple website together with a calendar on it that everyone can access without going to a parties page or a Facebook group. You know, a central database of everything that's happening at the minute. So you could look up and say, okay, Saturday, the 21st of June, this is happening in Cork, this is happening in Limerick, this is happening in Belfast. Sunday, the 22nd, we've got the big one in Dublin. Monday night, they're going to be protesting in RD. Wednesday night, there's a group getting together in Galway. You know, that sort of thing. So you could run your eye over it and say, okay, there's something in my area. I can get out there and I can get involved. But to my knowledge, that website or easily accessible database doesn't exist. And if you're listening to this as well, if you're aware of something and you want me to mention it on a live stream, for example, send me an email with the details. Communication has to, somebody's just said communication. I'm sorry, I missed your comment there, but communication has to improve with these protests 100%. Okay, 100%. And that's not just for any one group or any one protest, right across the board, because sometimes people just have a vested interest on their back door, or maybe the bigger events and whatnot. So generally speaking, yes, communication needs to improve, I would say. Otherwise, people are going to miss these. People are going to miss these. Frank Barron's asking anything in Waterford. Again, that's a good question. Is there? I don't know. So if you were to ask me, Rick, what's going on in Waterford? I have no idea. Unless somebody tells me or sends me information, or I have a guest on that brings it up. I don't know. And, you know, if I do know, I'll certainly make people aware of it on this platform. I don't pick and choose who I promote and who I don't. If I have the details and I have the time and I don't forget about it, because a lot of things go out of my mind, well, then I'll let you know. But unless I'm informed, I just don't know. What else have we got? Well, actually, on the subject of Paulo says he's in Waterford. I'm in Waterford, and anytime there's any kind of protest, the left nutbags always outnumber the people against immigration. I can't get my head around it. Yeah, this is the thing, you know, and unless people do come out, that whole demoralizing effect kicks in, where your head goes down and you're thinking, you know what, I've been out here for a long time and nobody's getting behind me and we're being outnumbered, and get demoralized. So maybe people just don't want to go, and that's fine. They can't go because of commitments. That's fine. But maybe people just don't know. So there's two other ones, by the way, and I was made aware of these two. And I'm sure there's loads more. People will be sitting watching this going, what about this? What about this? These are ones that I've been made aware of. There's one happening in Drogheda. Tell me how you want me to say it. That's next Saturday, I think, the 20th of June. Saturday, 20th of June at Marley's Lane, a leisure centre in Marley's Lane, next Saturday, 20th of June. Again, if you were to ask me, Rick, who's organising it, who's behind it, what are they doing? I don't know. This is all I have. So again, excuse me, if there is a protest and information is there, maybe who's organising it? Is it a community group? Is it a political party, a fledgling party organising it? Are they marching? Will there be speakers? This is all I have. This is all the information I have. So that one's next Saturday. And then this is the last one, by the way. I'm not going to be showing lots of pictures of protests here, because these are the only two that I have the details of. But there's another one in Dundalk Sunday week. that's not tomorrow, but a week from Sunday, Dundalk says no. Peaceful assembly. Sunday the 29th, 4 p.m, meeting at the square. Bring your flags, enough is enough. And again, I don't know who's organizing it. So I'm not endorsing it per se, because there could be rockets, Egypt's organizing these protests. I don't know. So I'm not telling you should go. I'm just making you where it's on. Do your own research and find out, and then decide from there whether or not you actually want to go or not. There's a comment here. Let's see, to do with, let's pick up on this one. Did you watch today's upload from Rebel News from the north? The lad in the shirt is the problem. Well, I noticed Rebel News are back in Ireland again. Levant showed up, I believe, at the last Dublin protest. He showed up in Cork. Ezra Levant, I think he's the chief of Rebel News. He's dispatched a couple of his workers. They were in Belfast today, I understand. And I understand they're going to Dublin tomorrow to cover this national rally, national protest. And also, the rumour mill was in full swing over the last day or two. There's an expectation there that there's a possibility Tommy Robinson will be at the Dublin protest tomorrow. Tommy Robinson will be there. That's why Ezra's people have been dispatched, or maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. I'm in no connection with any of these groups at all. I'm just saying there's an expectation there that Tommy will be in Dublin, or Stephen Yaxley Lennon, as some people would call him, which is also a highly contentious subject. You know, is it going to be good for the nationalist movement, or some people are spitting chips at the thought of Robinson being down there, maybe taking the stage at Custom House? I don't know. What do you think? Will he weigh in? Will he not? Is there a connection there? Would you be glad to see it? Would you not? Some people in the chat look like they'd be very happy. Colin says Tommy's on holidays with his kids. Some people love Tommy. Other people think he's the devil incarnate. So what I'm saying is, either way, if he weighs in there tomorrow, there seems to be very differing opinions of him. So would that potentially put a wedge in there tomorrow? Or maybe it'll be much ado about nothing. Again, I'm only going by what I've heard, or some people have messaged me. I don't know. And I won't be there to witness it, but no doubt we're going to find out soon enough. So that's tomorrow. An interesting picture here I have as well. And let's see how we're doing for time. Yeah, we've been going now for an hour and 10 minutes. Can you believe it? So hopefully you're enjoying the live stream here tonight. And I'm missing a lot of comments simply because they're flying up the screen here. I'm not trying to be rude, and I'm trying to cover these topics and speak on various issues. So massive thanks to everybody. There's over 400 people in the room at the minute, and the chats are flying up there, and some people are agreeing with each other. Some people are having it out, but you know, that's what it's about. Just try and be respectful to each other in there. Even if you do disagree, you're never going to find someone that you agree with completely. You know, so if you're going to fall out with someone, ask yourself, you know, is it worth falling out over? It's worth falling out over. Ragnar asks, Rick, is there any way you can slow the chat down? No. I believe this is live, as in there's a slight delay on it to when it's actually, I'm speaking now. There might be a slight delay before it actually gets broadcast or it goes out live. I'm not sure. But no, I can't slow the chat down. The only way to slow the chat down is to kick people out of the live stream, and I'm not going to do that. So no, I can't do that. Let's see. Every voice for the Patriots count. Yes, every voice does count, you know. And they say there's no such thing as bad publicity. So the more publicity, I suppose, that we can get, the better. But the question is then, how is that managed? How is that managed, and how is that put over to people in such a way that it increases the amount of people that may be supporting a certain cause? Here's another post. Let's see what you think about this one. This is coming from George Galloway. Again, another very polarizing character. Some people think the sun shines out of George's bum, and the other people think he's an absolute hellion. But set that aside, what your thoughts on him are. You know, and some people say to me, Rick, why do you talk about this person? Why do you talk about that person? Just because I talk to someone or talk about someone doesn't mean to say I agree with what they stand for or agree with what they're about, but they could come out with very valid opinions and ideas on things that you would be foolish to dismiss simply because you don't like them. Okay, and I want to think even that's the same about me. So, you know, I'm sure a lot of people out there don't like what I say about certain things and disagree with that. But, you know, you don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to like everything, but you might get the odd little nugget in there of something worthwhile that I say. And then, you know, you can take it and use it or spread it around. Some people, or somebody said there, you can slow chats down on YouTube. I'll be honest with you, I'm using I'm not streaming directly through YouTube. I'm using StreamYard, which is feeding into my YouTube page. And there's a lot of buttons here. There's a lot of things that I can press. But to be frank with you, I'm trying to keep my hands away from all these little flashing lights and things, because the last thing I want to do is cut myself off from the live stream or pause it, because that'll be a real spanner in the works. Thomas Anderson, love the accent, Rick. Thank you very much, Thomas. Northern Ireland accent, Belfast accent. Some people hate it with a passion. Some people think it's so lovely. So I'm glad you like it. So let's look at this. Let's look at this image. It's horrific. And I'll actually increase the size so you can see this here. So this is Galloway. And this is supposed to represent the House of Commons, although, let's be honest, it could represent the Dáil, Leinster House. And in the middle here, we have this demonic figure, this Baal-like figure. And to the left and to the right, we have benches that are strewn with demonic figures. Again, is this not really what you're seeing in Westminster? Is this not really what you're seeing in the Dáil? Under the skin, if you were to expose, someone says it's like the House of Lords. It doesn't matter. Whatever government anywhere, is this not what's actually, is this not what you could see in spiritual eyes if you look inside there? And in relation to this particular image, Galloway says, in Starmer's Britain, I warn you, do not be old. They will pop you in a suicide pod or help you end your life. Do not be disabled. They will cut your poverty benefits, or do not be a full-term baby in the birth canal. They will butcher you, and there's a horrendous law or amendment has been passed to allow people to murder children up until the point of birth. In England, is that going to come to Ireland? Given that birth rates are dropping here anyway, they want to make it easier for people to die younger, die before they're technically birthed into the world. And everyone that pops their clogs is saving to the government. Think of the amount of money that's being spent keeping old people alive. Think of the amount of money that's being spent keeping the NHS going with these huge waiting lists with millions of people on them. The amount of benefits that are being paid to children and mothers and fathers that, for whatever reason, some genuine, some not genuine, can't work. The amount of fiscal support that hasn't to be pushed out there to keep people with a roof over their head if they can even get a home. And then you ask yourself a question, is there a more sinister agenda at hand? Some people are asking about the organ donations. And there was a new law, a soft opt-in, it's called, in Ireland over the last week or so. New legislation means all adults in Ireland will be organ donors when they die. So I remember you used to have to carry what was called then a kidney donor card. Can any of you remember that? And welcome, Kath, by the way, into the chat. Lovely to have you in with us here live on Saturday night. Kidney donor card, it used to be called. It was a flimsy little piece of paper with the NHS, logo on it, and you had to sign the back to say that if you died prematurely or you were in an accident, it was the kidneys primarily that would be donated, but you could also tick a box to say, well, I'm happy to donate my kidney, my spleen, my liver, my pancreas, my eyes, whatever. You remember those? Are you old enough to remember the old kidney donor cards? Well, those were something that unless you had that card, you couldn't have your organs taken from you and donated to someone that was waiting for them. They had to go into the grave with you. So this is now changed. And the new legislation means that all adults in Ireland will be organ donors when they die. So if you're listening to me tonight and you're an adult, you're in Ireland, you are an organ donor, whether you like it or not. Although there is a caveat in there to say that despite the new legislation, family members will always be consulted before any action is taken. And if they don't agree, the donation will not proceed. So they're saying it can be overridden by the family, but what if they don't get the family? What if they can't get the family? What if they try and talk the family into it if they're not 100% right about it? So that's what's happening in Ireland at the minute. People have, if the health service have their eyes on your organs as a default donor and you're ill, do you not think that that's going to influence the healthcare that you get, where you could literally be cheaper dead than alive and more beneficial for other people in Ireland dead rather than alive? Where is the incentive to keep you going? Some people talking about their livers being in a real mess. Alan Bodell says, I'll donate my middle finger. It's very decent of you, Alan. Yeah. Do they want my organs? Well, keep wanting, says roll my shadow or roll me shadow. So that's the new system. Under new legislation, all adults in Ireland will be considered to have agreed to be a donor when they die. Now, again, there's a lot of you listening in here from Ireland, and I know a lot of people tried to get onto the website to opt out of this as soon as it went live, and I believe there was either a lot of people trying to opt out on day one or the site crashed. So Sully says you can opt out. Yes, you can. But the point is that you always had to opt in by default. Now you're having to opt out by default. It could be one of those things that you just think, I'll opt out sometime, and then you don't, and then you die, and then your organs are taken. So they've switched it, they've flipped it around. So you're considered to have agreed to be a donor when you die, unless you've recorded a decision not to donate on the National Organ Donation Opt-out Register. The HSE has welcomed the Human Tissues Act. Is that not a very sinister name? Is that not a sinister name? The Human Tissues Act of 2024, Part 2, which now provides a national legislative framework for organ donation and transplant services in Ireland for the first time. So the Human Tissue Act, Legislative Act. The donation of an organ is an incredible gift that is life-changing for the recipient and their families. Consent is the cornerstone of this new legislation, said the HSE. So they're talking about consent. I would say you would like to think that that word consent is prefixed with informed consent. People are actually informed about what this will mean or what this won't mean if they do it or they don't do it. And we know that the governments aren't exactly great on informed consent, as witnessed by the shenanigans and skullduggery that happened in Ireland and the UK and right across the world from March 2020 onwards. So there's that one as well. I want to move on now to look at policing. And there was a meeting this week where I believe Micheál Martin, Simon Harris, Michelle O'Neill and Emma Little Pengelly, First and Deputy First Ministers in Northern Ireland, and the An Taoiseach, An Taoiseach, all met together, and they were talking about policing and supporting each other and various new things. I want to look at now what Michelle O'Neill's saying, especially about petitioning for more money for the PSNI, Police Service of Northern Ireland, and saying that they need help to do their job. Anyone that knows Michelle O'Neill and Sinn Féin up here will know that that would not have been a tune they would have been piping not so long ago, but she's changed. Looks like she's changed. She's changed in a lot of ways, like most politicians have. So let's have a look. Galloway Raider said, I can't stand Pengelly. Well, you're going to see her. The good thing is, here's the bonus. They've put a script or a speech bubble on her head, so you can only really see from her nose down. So I hope that's some consolation for you, Galloway Raider. Here we have Michelle O'Neill talking policing and funding, and then Emma Little Pengelly.
A austerity agenda that just crippled public services, and policing was also a casualty of all of that. So there's no doubt in my mind that there's work to do to invest in our police service. And even in the events of recent weeks, John O'Dowd was able to find £5 million to invest to be able to deal with the response in that immediate period. But we also know that the Chief Constable has put forward a business case for £200 million of investment in the PSNI. And John O'Dowd's very happy to sign that off, because I think it's important that we do actually get the funding right for the PSNI so that they can serve the community in the way in which they are intended. That will have to go to our executive, but certainly John will be recommending to the executive that we find this funding in our budget discussions and that we do actually invest. That includes actually putting some funding in this year that would allow them to go out to recruitment so that we actually start the process of building up the service from this year forward. So I think that can be a positive development, and I look forward to that coming to the executive. And look, it's been a challenging time for all of our public.
There's Emma with her head blocked off. So Michelle O'Neill's talking about 200 million of investment for the PSNI, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, to allow them to do their job right, to allow them to protect the communities, to allow them to get out there because of what they've seen and what they've experienced in the last few weeks, especially with all the public order breakdowns in Ballymena, Larne, Carrickfergus, up in Derry, Belfast, Portadown. Let's not forget Portadown. So let's hear what Emma has to say. This is Michelle's right-hand woman, the Deputy First Minister, which, by the way, has the same level of clout as the First Minister, but back in the day it was Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness, and it had to be seen that somebody was top dog, so that was Ian Paisley. Now the top dog, in more ways than one, is Michelle O'Neill, followed by her number two. She is a bit of a number two in the shape and form of Emma Pengelly, so let's hear what she says.
Services right across, and that includes the PSNI and the Justice Department, not least because we've been through the COVID years. There's a huge amount of funding that was directed towards that, and I think actually, you know, in terms of education, in terms of PSNI, in terms of many of other public services have suffered due to that. But that needs to be addressed. I raised this publicly. I made a public call for our Finance Minister to seek to find those additional funds to support the PSNI. We do need to get those numbers up. There's a commitment in the programme for government to increase the numbers in line with what was set out in the fresh start document, a new decade, new approach, and the various other agreements that have been made to that. So look, we're absolutely committed to the PSNI. I want to pay tribute to the many, many officers that were out on the front line in incredibly difficult circumstances over the course of the last number of weeks. But of course, they do that week in and week out, and they're doing that at the moment under-resourced and under-supported. So we do need to address that. You know, there's 68, I believe, officers injured arising from that violence over the course of the last 10 days, and our thoughts are with them. But it shows that, you know, this is a dangerous profession that they are in. They are there to protect the people of Northern Ireland, and the least that we can do is to try to stand up and support the PSNI in those circumstances.
So there you have it, some very colourful descriptions coming in of Michelle and Emma, and Roll Me Shadow says those two would give you a migraine. Indeed. And you know, there's something else that I've noticed this week, and a lot of people were saying about the violence that was happening on the streets, that officers were injured, and no one wants to see anybody getting injured on the streets, but there were many, many people being paraded out this week talking about how they'd been injured in the line of duty, how they'd been attacked, or they were attacked in a police station, or somebody in custody went after them, or somebody attacked them on the streets. I'm not trying to take away from anybody's bad experience at work, but when you're in the police service or you're in Garda Síochána, you know, getting attacked and the possibility of injury is part of the job. It's part of the job. And if you're in a riot, for example, you should be kitted out appropriately in riot gear, and you should be trained in volatile environments or volatile scenarios. Still not going to guarantee you that you're going to be safe, but you should be told, listen, you're going to get a helmet, you're going to get body armor, you're going to get shin guards, you're going to get elbow protectors, you're going to get a baton, you're going to get gas, you're going to get a baton round gun, you're going to get whatever. All right, you're going to get whatever. But there's still a possibility that you could be injured. There's still a possibility that you could get a petrol bomb thrown at you. There's still a possibility you could be shot, right? It comes with a job. It's like if you're working on a North Sea oil rig, there's danger money there because you could get washed overboard, or you could have a terrible injury with mechanics or whatever. That's why they're paid so much money. They work in hostile environments. And if you get stationed, if you work in private security and you get stationed somewhere else, somewhere overseas in a very hairy area, if you're a mercenary, people command big money. Okay, you want me to go and work in Iraq? Okay, I'm going to need a premium for that because there's a chance I could be seriously injured or hurt. So I'm not taking away from anyone that's getting attacked, or I'm not demeaning it. It's terrible. No one wants to see their loved ones, their relatives getting injured. But the fact of the matter is it comes with a job. It comes with a job. And, you know, if you don't like that, or you don't like the thought that you're going to get attacked, then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So anyway, that seems to be something else that we're hearing a lot more of as well. Let's see who else is in the chat here. Rick, you're old enough to remember the RUC. I missed your last bit. Yes, the Royal Ulster Constabulary. Yes, of course, I can remember them very, very well. Freedom Dad. Oh, Freedom Dad in the chat. I haven't seen the chat. Someone's saying that he's there. He's a name in the South. Yep. So there's people out there doing streaming. There's people out there doing reports from home like I'm doing. There's people out there mixing it all up. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of people covering a lot of ground at the minute. And you guys that are watching, judging by the comments here, are familiar with some people, maybe don't know about other people. And certainly you're getting exposed to an awful lot of what's going on at the minute as a result of people taking up the job or doing the job of what the mainstream media or the so-called legacy media should be doing. So that's all I'm trying to do here at the minute anyway. Yes, we all have a part to play. That's it. And some people are talkers. Some people like to stay behind the scenes. Some people like pre-recording things. Some people like to go out live. Some people like to get into the thick of it. Some people like to sit back. Some people like to just remain anonymous and maybe do admin stuff or, technical stuff or editing stuff. So not everybody has to be in front of a camera. Not everybody has to be on the streets. Not everybody has to show their face or even use their real name. There's no going back for me now at the minute. Not that I want to go back. My name's out there, my real name's out there, my face is out there. I've got 3 to 4 years of recorded content out there speaking out against the government and policies and this, that, and the other. But some other people are in the position where they can't have their faces shown and they can't have their details known. So they have to take a back seat, but they can do other things. They can do other things. And that's the beauty about this setup that we have at the moment. It's not dependent on any one or two people or any group has a stranglehold on the distribution of information. You can go anywhere, anytime you like, pretty much, and you can decide what content you put out. You can decide what your focus is. You can decide what you want to focus on. You can decide how often you do it or not do it at all. So yeah, good point. Everyone has a part to play, and the part to play a lot of you guys are doing as well, whether you're conscious of this or not, or whether you're aware of this or not. If you watch these videos, if you share these videos, if you clip these videos, and I've said this before, you can take these videos of mine, cut and paste the link, dump them into groups, dump them into other channels, do whatever you want with them. Once I put them out, you do whatever you want with them. It gets the message out there. And even if the people that you're sending it to don't like it, like I don't like Rick, I don't like his delivery, I don't like the way he talks, I don't like his subject matter, that's cool. They don't have to watch it. But you can dump it in there anyway and let them be the judge of that. Simply watching, liking, commenting, coming on a live stream, it all helps the war effort. So whether you're in front of the camera or behind the camera or even part of the way, sort of 1 foot in front of the camera, 1 foot behind, 1 foot in the protest, 1 foot sitting in a home studio, or a bit of both, you can learn and you can experience new things and you can get the word out there. Okay, so that's up to you. Here's another picture. All right, this is quite powerful, and I want to look at this picture here as well. There's a narrative that's going out at the minute that, and it's accurate, unfortunately, to a degree. Don't misquote me on this one, but the government are saying, especially around the immigration issue, the healthcare service, the hospitality service, the home care service is all propped up by immigrants. And if they all left, then we would be stuck. We would be screwed. The whole thing would just fall down onto the floor. Okay, that's what we're being told. Now, I have a picture here, and there's a great web page on Twitter, and if you haven't seen this, go and check it out. But it's called NI for Northern Ireland, NI Historical Photos. Okay, and I saw this picture yesterday. Now look at this. Okay, this is a picture that was taken in Belfast City Hospital in 1971. I think it was 1971. Now, 1971, Belfast City Hospital. Some of you listening to this might have been born there around about the time that this photograph was taken. I was born in Lagan Valley Hospital in Lisburn in there you go. Freedom Dad, born there in 1970. Well, Freedom Dad, this photograph was taken a year after you were born in the hospital you were born in, right? Now, I don't know what department this was. I don't know if this was which section of the hospital it was, but whatever. There's a very high possibility that the people in this photograph in 1971 were there when you were born in 1970, all right? Or anywhere else listening to this from Belfast that's popped into the world around about that time. Now, from what I can see, and I can't tell where people were born when I see this photograph, and I can't tell if they've come from Eastern Europe or whatnot, but I would guess that the majority of people, there's GC says born in the hospital in 1969. So GC, there's another one. You were born there 2 years before this photograph was taken, all right? So my point is, I don't know the origins of these people. I don't know where they were born and reared. But what I am trying to say is, from what I can see, to say that the health service back in 1971 in Belfast was propped up or would have collapsed because of people coming in from overseas is complete garbage. Complete garbage. And then ask yourself this question, and I was thinking about this last night. You think of the amount of time that has passed since the 70s or the 80s or the 90s even. I can remember as a kid in the 1970s that if you got sick as a kid and you were in a pretty bad way, you were feeling really miserable, your parents would have phoned up the doctor, the health centre. They would have said, "Oh, little Johnny's not well. Can you come out and see him?" And there would have been a doctor on call who would have drove to your house in a car and, took your temperature and took your blood pressure and whatnot. And if you had a throat infection, he would have prescribed you with something, right? This is back in the 70s, back in the 80s, when we didn't have all this technology. We didn't have all these advanced systems. We didn't have hundreds of millions, billions being pumped into the so-called NHS. We didn't have any of that. Whereas now, how many of you out there can get a doctor's appointment when you're sick? How many of you out there can actually even speak to a doctor if you're sick? Because the way the system is now, and thank God I don't have to contact the health service very much, haven't done for quite some years. Hope I continue to not to have to do so. But if I want to get a doctor's appointment now, I know because my wife trying to get appointments sometimes for my daughter or for herself, you got a phone in the morning and it's a lottery. There's 100 people might be waiting at 8:30 in the morning to try and get through to your local health service. And then when they get through to your local health service, you don't get a doctor, you get a receptionist. And no offense to anyone out there that's working as a doctor's receptionist, but the fact is you're now being triaged. You're now being triaged by a receptionist who decides whether or not to put you forward to a doctor who may or may not phone you back at some stage in the afternoon. And if they get contact with you in the afternoon, they may offer you an appointment for 5 to 10 minutes to talk about one thing that's wrong with you. This is 2025. This is 1971. So approximately 54 years have passed between this picture and the position that we're at now. 51 years has passed. 51 years of medical advances. 51 years of government funding, billions upon billions upon billions upon billions upon billions being pumped into the NHS. And you tell me, you explain to me why we're in a much worse position now than we were back then. Okay. 1971, Belfast City Hospital, 1971. So you can go and look that up yourself. Or in fact, go and look at any historical photos from Belfast, because I've been doing this recently. Old department buildings that closed down. There was one in the middle of Belfast called Robinson and Cleaver. It's still a beautiful big building right outside the City Hall in Belfast. Beautiful building. Used to be a really high-end department store in Belfast city centre. Mum and dad might have took you down there at the weekend if they wanted to buy something for the house, and you went in and you looked around and it was beautiful. Same thing before they closed down. There was photographs taken of all the staff in there, and it looked something like that. So to say that retail would have collapsed back in the 70s or the 80s without immigrants, or healthcare would have collapsed back in the 70s and 80s without immigrants, is complete bunkum. But it is the way it is now. It is the way it is now. So I'm just saying. We'll look at some comments here. A lot of comments, and thank you very much, guys, by the way, for taking a little bit of time out of your Saturday night to hop on here. I'm not sure if I started this too early. Maybe, I don't know. I'm still mucking around with times, but I thought I'll start a little bit earlier than I did on Thursday night. I left it too late on Thursday night, and it was getting dark, and I couldn't be asked putting on the lights here. So I started early tonight. I thought I'll go for a little bit longer. And I know there's a lot going on at the minute, and I know you guys, it's Saturday night. You could be sitting watching TV or out doing other stuff. So, you know, there's quite a few of you on here at the minute. Faithful Donkey, by the way, thank you for the membership gift. Somebody's going to get a little membership off the back of your Faithful Donkey. So thank you for being a faithful donkey. Faithful Donkey. But yeah, I'm messing around with the times, the start times. You know, whether or not I should do it for an hour or I should do 2 hours, or I don't know. I should do it once a week or maybe not at all. I don't know. I'm still messing around, but like I said, I'm blown away by the amount of people that have taken the time to come on here tonight. Paul McCluskey said, Niall McConnell, 2145. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe he's streaming tonight. I don't know. Check and see. I mean, that's another thing. There's a lot of people doing streams as well. It's a little bit like the protests. There's a lot of people streaming out there as well on YouTube, all across Ireland and over in England and different places like that. And it's hard to know who's on when. And maybe people don't want to cross paths with other people. They don't want to, you know, step on anyone's toes. So I don't know. Somebody in Donegal there, thank you. Whoever you are in Donegal, maybe bump into you someday in Donegal. But that's another thing. It's a little bit like the protests. A lot of people don't know when a lot of protests are going on. I do think there needs to be a directory for it. I suppose the best advice I could give you with YouTube is, you know, if there's a channel that you follow, the best thing to do, and not a lot of people do this, right? Because 75% of the people that watch my channel aren't even subscribed, which is mental. So as much as the channel's growing, 3/4 of the people watching my channel aren't even subscribed to the channel. They just watch it. Okay. And to be frank, it doesn't matter to me if you subscribe or not, but if you like the channel and you want to stay up to date with the channel, right? Hit the little subscribe button, and then there's a bell beside it. Hit the bell button, the notifications button, because what that'll mean is I understand that if someone that you do follow and you do like, or you do want to keep up with, comes on, you'll get a little ping on your phone. I'm not sure how, or it goes like an email alert. I don't know, but you'll get a notification to say so-and-so is released a new video. So-and-so is doing a live channel tonight. So-and-so is doing this. So-and-so is doing that. All right. So again, you know, it's a weird thing. The YouTube thing is strange. Somebody says, Agnes Lynch, hit and share. It doesn't cost anything. Indeed, you know, when people produce content, it's free. Well, unless you're ripping them off and passing it off as your own content, which you people don't do. But if you cut and paste the link from your browser, you know, it takes 2 seconds, and then dump it into a Facebook group, an Instagram group, a WhatsApp group, send it on an email list, whatever you do or whatever social media you do, it's free. And if you start spamming people and they don't like it, all they have to do is just block you, or just say, like, stop sending me Rick's bloody videos. I'm sick of them. Yeah, that's cool. You don't have to like, just dump it out there. Dump it out there. So anyway, yeah, it doesn't cost anything to do that. Somebody said, Sully said 350 watching, 295 likes. Yeah, don't worry too much again about the like buttons. And again, they all count. From what I've learned from YouTube, interaction counts. Okay, so it's great to like the stuff. It's great to subscribe to the channels if you want to. You don't have to. All right, but watching the content and leaving a comment under the content is really, really, really beneficial for the channel. So even if you don't subscribe to me, I don't mind. And if you don't like my videos, I don't mind. I've never asked, well, I suppose maybe I have asked. I've always asked people to share, but not, I don't mind. I don't care about thumbs up or thumbs downs. because they all actually help. Even someone giving you a thumbs down helps a little bit if it's interaction. Rick, very refreshing. I'm just looking at content here. Very refreshing. You don't go on other YouTube channels to scrounge for subs. No, listen, I operate mostly here. Okay. I have other commitments. I've got family commitments of other projects that I'm working on. I sometimes don't get access to transport. I'd love to be out at more demonstrations. I'd love to travel to more, what's the word? Protests. I'd love to speak to more people in the flesh, but it's just not always possible for me to do that. Okay. So no, I don't go on to other channels scrounging for subs. But having said that, you know, if anybody's a guest on my channel, I usually will say, look, go to so-and-so's channel, show them some love, show them some support. And I've always said this, you're free to use my content. If you have a channel of your own, just cut and paste it or dump it and just do whatever you want. I don't even want credit for it. So it's entirely up to you what you do about that. No, but the subs, listen, if you're doing a reasonably good job, and I'm not talking about professionalism here, because I'm just sitting here in a room talking to you. I've got no fancy lights. This is just the sunlight coming in through the window, you know, and I've got a green screen behind me, but I don't use it. I've got lights either side of me. I don't use them. I can't be arsed with fuss, and I can't be arsed with clutter. You know, I believe if your content's all right, whoever you are, you don't have to be a great speaker. You don't have to be good looking. Just deliver honest content. Doesn't matter if you fluff up your words. It doesn't matter if you bloop a few things. It doesn't matter if you drop your camera. It doesn't matter. Just get the content out there. Because you see, even if you're the best in the world, somebody will be sitting bitching about you. If you're too professional, people will say you're too slick. If you're not professional enough, people will say he's really sloppy. If you're really good speakers, people say he's full of himself. If you're really broad and you've got a bit of an accent about you, which I could put on very easy, thank you very much, people will say, oh, he's just a gutter snipe. It doesn't matter what you do. People will bitch about it. People will complain about it. And yes, Paulo, F the begrudgers, let them go to hell on a handcart. All right. So my approach is, see me, if you like me, happy days. If you don't, you know where the door is. All right. And there'll be no hard feelings. Easy come, easy go. So anyway, that's the way I operate. And that's the way I'm going to continue to operate. And a lot of people will tell you something else that's bugging the hell out of me while I'm on it. I'm on a bit of a rant now. I like organic stuff. Okay. I like organic content. I'd rather watch a boy walking along the street or sitting in his car talking for 3 or 4 minutes from his heart or her heart than watching some slick, scripted, fancy something put together, right? And AI is now starting to play a bigger and bigger role in content. And I hate it. I can tell now when I'm reading what people are writing, I can tell that they haven't written it. Simply because I can remember when they tried to write things and they weren't very good writers, but they were doing it from the heart, right? Now they're all slick and they're all polished and every I is dotted and every T is crossed and every comma's in the right place and they've got paragraphs and they've got cross references. It's AI. So give me the gut, give me the gritty stuff, give me the rough stuff. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, that's enough ranting from me anyway. Who else is talking in here? Finola, off the cuff, unplanned stuff, usually better. Yeah. Listen, I've been talking now for 1 hour and 48 minutes, right? And I have nothing. Here's what I have in front of me. That's all I have. Burrow Beach. Don't look at my writing, right? That's my handwriting. Can't even write. Can you read that? Can you read that? That's my notes for tonight. And that's my pen. See my pen? There's my high-tech pen. And look, the top's broke off it. I lost the top the other day. It's knackered and I eat it. I chew it. You know what? Doesn't matter. Don't need a fancy pen. I don't need a second screen. I've got another. Where do you see this? I'm being honest here. I'm trying to be honest here. I have another thing here. This here, Google Chromebook. I bought that 3 years ago, and all I've ever used it for is to set my other computer on as a wee stand. It hasn't been switched on in years. I don't like it. I just use one screen and that's all I use. But anyway, that's just a little, how would you say, behind the scenes as to how I do my thing. Why am I telling you all this? I suppose it's to show and prove that you really don't need a lot of stuff to do stuff. Just get it done. Just get it done. And don't put it off until tomorrow. Get it done. And don't worry about it being perfect, because it won't be. Get it done. Just do stuff. If something's on your heart to do, just do it. And as you go, aim to improve a little bit each time. Get a little bit more knowledgeable each time. Yeah. Work on your switching between your chat and your talking each time. Just a little bit better. Aim to go for a little bit longer, whatever. So anyway, that's my advice. And I do have a background. I don't have a background actually in presentation. I used to walk the streets in Lisburn and Belfast when the lockdowns were on with my phone. And that's another thing. My phone is 6 years old. It's iPhone 12. I don't know what it is, but it does the job. You don't need it. All right. Video still works on it. You know, headphones, you can buy a set of Skull Candy headphones for a tenner, and they're good enough for you to talk into when you're out and about. And yes, I have this, all right, and I have these, but I got these when I was doing live broadcasting for a radio station that I was asked to join because somebody saw me walking around the streets talking. So anyway, anybody can do it. Just do it. So that's enough. That's enough out of me. I'm going to wrap this up actually in a minute or two. I'm looking to see what people are saying. Ricky, heading to Dublin tomorrow? No, Naomi, I'm not heading to Dublin tomorrow. I have other commitments tomorrow, and I am staying to them. Sometimes you gotta step back, folks, as well. And not you guys, but there can be an expectation that if someone is on a YouTube channel, or if they've got a bigger reach, you know, not that you're saying this, I'm not directing this at anyone in the chat, but you know, that you'll be at a lot of protests, you'll be at a lot of places. You got to keep your house in order. You've got to make sure you're looking after yourself, your family. Some people are stressed out of their brains. All right. Some people are stressed out of their brains, and it's difficult to get out there and go around talking to people. Sometimes I'm not a people person, believe it or not. I'm pretty much a loner. I'm pretty nasty when you get to know me. Freedom Dad, thanks, Rick. God bless you. Yeah, you too, mate. You too. We'll maybe get talking sometime. You're doing good stuff as well. Yeah. Just excuse me in 4 languages as all that's needed. Emerald Isle, I'm housebound. Well, there you go. This is an example. You don't have to be out and about. You can cut and paste, and you can stick stuff out to people if you're housebound, or even if you don't want to do that, you can simply just watch and share content. All right. So no matter what, if you've got 2 hands and you've got an internet connection and you've got a mouth and you've got a phone, even an knackered old phone, you can do something. And remember, no matter what you do, some people will love it, some people hate it. The hell with them. All right. So I'm going to bring this one to a close. And again, massive thanks to everyone that's taken the time to come on here tonight. It's been nearly 2 hours, give or take 6 minutes. So the time has flown by, and I'm going to go out now and I'm going to sit in the garden. I'm not going to look at a screen. I'm not going to check the news. I'm not going to see who's doing what in Dublin tomorrow. I'm just going to go and I'm going to sit and I'm going to break open a cold bottle of alcohol-free beer. Yes, alcohol-free beer, because the last thing I need to do right now is get drunk. And I'm going to relax. And somebody's saying that there's another live stream on, jumping over to see Niall. So we'll highlight that just to give that a little bit of a promo. So if Niall's on there, I think that's Niall McConnell, unless I'm mistaken, get over there and see what he has to say. But no matter what you do, enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless each and every one of you. And until Monday, this is me, Rick Munn, No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.